It almost feels like an indoctrination. It feels like I'm in a cult.
Wow. Sounds like
I know
a
what
hot
you.
take.
I know what you mean there. Yeah.
Welcome to Holiday Film Countdown. I'm Jamie Wolter, and today we are going to Chicago.
That's right. This film is The Christmas Chronicles, our 40th ranked holiday film. Hello, I'm Tim Wolter.
Sometimes it takes a true believer to bring back the holiday spirit, but a little bit of proof never hurts.
Our first guest is Sean Scanlan. Hello, Sean.
Hi, Jamie.
Please let us know what you're drinking and give us a quick thought on The Christmas Chronicles.
Okay, quick thought. Well, I'm drinking Waterloos sparkling water, a grape that Tim gave me. It's delicious. The movie, I think my word for it would be disjointed. However, I do think Kurt Russell is good in it, and I could see how for children this could be an interesting, fun ride for a lot of people. And so I thought it was a pleasant experience, if maybe not like a triumph in filmmaking or anything like that.
Gotcha.
All right. And our other guest is Luke Wolter. Hey, Luke, what are you drinking? And what's your initial thought on this film?
Hello, I'm drinking an Alani. I think it's an energy drink. It was all right. The movie was okay. It wouldn't be one that I watch every year, but I could see its merit.
All right.
Okay. Well, I am drinking coffee au lait from HEB right now, and it is delicious, I think. And my quick thought on the movie is I find it clever. I thought the writing was clever.
Okay. And I'm drinking eggnog with Pecan Street rum. This film is where it is in the countdown because it brought some magic, and there's a chance it'll age okay. It had some revelations about how Santa does what Santa does, so we all need those insights in our lives.
That's right. The Christmas Chronicles was written by Matt Lieberman and David Guggenheim. It was directed by Clay Cadiz. He also directed our 45th ranked holiday film, A Christmas Story Christmas.
Yeah, and of note, it was produced by Chris Columbus. He's the one who directed Home Alone and Home Alone 2, and we will see those films later in the countdown. The Christmas Chronicles was released in 2018. It was filmed primarily in Toronto, with some exterior shots on location in Chicago. Kurt Russell plays St. Nick with relative newcomers Judah Lewis and Darby Camp. They play the kids in the film.
All right, Sean, what is your history with the Christmas Chronicles? Have you seen it before? I think you mentioned.
I think I caught about 20 minutes of it one time in my house, and I think my niece and nephew might have been at the house, and so I think we might have had it on because I do remember some of the scenes, especially the creepy scene where the elves jump out and they're going to castrate the young boy, and then we're supposed to like warm up and love the elves throughout the film, which is fine. But the one does take a chainsaw and is going to castrate the one. And that is a really unique take, on the story for sure. But I know we're supposed to forget about that one. That whole scene with the three robbers taking him to the warehouse and then the elves jumping out and thrashing and physically abusing everyone. It's a very interesting scene for a Christmas movie, but I do remember that particular scene. It struck a chord when I saw it again.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to forget that, right?
And Luke, what is your history with the Christmas Chronicles?
I've seen the thumbnail while scrolling Netflix, and that is all.
All right.
And I have watched it one other time with my daughter before we put this in our countdown. So I had seen it one other time previously.
And I had seen it once not too long ago, just preparing for this episode, seeing where it would fit in here.
All right, let's check out the trailer.
He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good.
Stop. Kids aren't stupid. They know how it works.
Sorry, Santa.
Up, Cupid! Up, Thomas!
Teddy, check it out.
Give me the camera. It's Santa Claus.
Live and in person. One night only.
All right, what did y'all think of the trailer? Do you think it does its job? Did it leave you like thinking I don't need to see any more?
I mean, I actually think the way they edited the trailer is pretty good. If I hadn't seen the film just now, I could see how they edited it was was well done, I guess.
I could definitely see the film in the trailer. It's just, I don't think it really caught my attention. I don't think if I just saw the trailer, I would have seen the movie.
All right. I mean, of course, it's a Christmas movie, and a lot of Christmas movies have a little bit of hokiness to it. I felt like they put almost all of those parts in the trailer, but maybe that's what they were going for. I felt like when I watched it, it had more of a story to it than just the cliche of, is Santa Claus real?
I felt like the trailer was more oriented to a younger audience than the actual film was.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
If I saw that paging through Netflix, I'd be like, oh, okay, I need to watch this with a kid. But then after seeing the film, you could raise that age group a little bit.
I agree.
All right, let's go inside the numbers. This is a Netflix film, so we can only guess what it cost to make. Any guesses here? Where are you going to go?
I'll go 15 million.
I'll go 20 million.
I'm going to go, I don't know, maybe around 13 million?
I mean, the CGI was pretty good.
Yeah.
And that, I forget what they called it, the Hall of Letters. Mm-hmm. I mean, that wasn't a cheap Hall of Letters, just saying.
I'm just thinking he must cost 5 or 10, right?
Yeah. And then Goldie's cameo.
Yeah.
That's another $1 million.
Do you know how much it cost?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I
But it
thought
was
you were
so
good.
quick. You think that she got paid $1 million just for that cameo?
All right, maybe 500. It's good work if you can get it.
Well, yeah, of course.
I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out
Okay.
there.
Oh, I thought you knew the actual number. That would have been cool.
Netflix keeps that all private.
Right. No way of knowing.
You'd have to be a board member. So the film had 20 million streams in its first week on Netflix back in 2018. And the Mickey Mantle rookie card that was destroyed by the angry wife, in 2022, that same card went for $12 million at auction. So it was worth more than the Porsche. And the Christmas Chronicles has a score of 2.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd. And we'll all give our own reviews and scores later.
All right. Well, 20 million streams. I mean, I think the movie did a good job of taking a Christmas story and trying to do a little bit of a twist on it. So I could see how when you're looking for something new, something different at Christmas time to see, I mean, I think it's going to get the streaming. So I think it's pretty good.
I mean, I think everyone's already seen all the other movies that look kind of similar.
Exactly.
So when you're looking to burn time, especially with kids around or just like a dead holiday afternoon, you're looking to pass a little time or wrap some gifts, whatever,
Right.
it's a fit.
And then with Netflix, if they have the algorithm kind of locked and loaded, right? They can kind of control when you turn on Netflix. If it's the first thing you see around the holiday time and everyone's like, oh, Kurt Russell, let's watch that. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
I don't
bring
know
in-
how much that affects it, but
I think star power affects it.
and the
People-
algo, and the algorithm, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
for
that
sure.
definitely does.
Yeah.
For sure.
Then once it gets in that top 10, you know, because I do, you know, if you turn it, you're bored, you turn on the Netflix, you're like, okay, what is everyone else watching? Okay, is this worth watching? And then,
Right.
yeah.
So what was your take on the decorations, the Christmas decorations in it? Anything stand out for you, Sean?
On the decorations, like in the house or just in general?
Just in general, what about the lights or the reindeer? What did you think about the reindeer? in it?
Yeah, I did like the reindeer. I like the special effects. I like the sound of the sleigh. I thought they did a really good job with that. I like the John Williams-ish score to the whole thing. Like, I thought they did good with that. The score always has you feeling like, oh, something magical is about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think from a special effects and the score, I do give it high marks as far as that's concerned. Without that, it would have been a struggle for sure.
And Luke, you have any take on the Christmas tropes or any of the set design, etc.?
I think overall it looked pretty nice, except the snow looked very fake. That's kind of it. That's all I have to say.
I thought the elves were a mix between a Gremlins and Mr. What's his name from Karate Kid?
Mr. Miyagi?
Mr. Miyagi. That was my take on the elves.
Mr. Miyagi?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Looked
see
like
that.
they were a little Gremlin-esque with a
Yeah.
little ninja or karate.
I thought of the Gremlins like instantly,
Right.
Definitely the
especially when
ears
they
and
got
the
mad
eyes.
at her.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought they did a great job with the reindeer. I thought they looked good.
Oh, yeah.
You know, flying, it looked real, the whole feet thing going in the air. And I thought they did a good job with that.
We had a lot of similar action in Noel a few episodes ago, and these were way better
Oh, yeah, for sure.
on the ground and in the air.
Yeah.
Anyone else have a small issue, like as they're going through Chicago, quote unquote, there's no other cars or no other human beings on any of the streets to save money, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you kind of go, okay, Netflix, you could spend a little bit of money here. You know, there can be other human beings like on the street and stuff like that. But
Yeah, it wasn't that late. It was Christmas Eve, but it was only like 10 o'clock. There could have been people out. What'd y'all think of Santa's bag?
That was a neat idea. I never seen that in a movie before. But it makes sense, right? Like he can't carry all those in one bag, so they make it like a TARDIS thing where he could just.
I have been wondering, since the beginning of time, how that all worked. Just that revelation maybe make this movie worth it for me.
I thought it was creative, and I thought the way he kind of went in and out of the houses super fast was a fun take on, you know, how they could be able to do all that in such a small amount of time. So that was kind of
for
fun.
you non-believers, but
It was funny. Yeah.
it was geared towards you non-believers.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely funny.
Well, I thought it was clever the way it was kind of like a portal, right? The Santa bag was a portal to go back through. And I thought when Kate was going through and she's crawling through all the packages to get to the elves, I thought that was pretty clever and genius. It looked pretty cool to me. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of like a little portal that puts her down into, I guess, Santa's village.
Yeah, it was to the North Pole.
Yeah. Yeah, but she falls in. Remember, it's like a Christmas tree of presents. She falls down.
Like a carousel or something.
Yeah.
Feeding them up.
Right.
It was kind of like blending Being John Malkovich with A Christmas Story, which, yes, it's very creative.
It reminded me, yeah.
Have you seen Being John Malkovich?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
All right, we did have an eggnog mention here, and we did have mistletoe. So there was, when Kate was showing Teddy the video that ultimately had Santa's arm delivering a gift, there was little mistletoe and the parents kissed. So we always look for that in these films.
Yeah, and there were no carolers, but we did hear carolers when they're at the church, right? You could hear them inside the church towards the end.
Well, and Teddy said he was going to go caroling, but it was in jest.
Oh, yeah, he was not going to go caroling.
Well, you know, he could have had a change of heart.
Yeah, I don't think so. What about Santa in this story, though?
Yeah, that's the big question. What do we think of Santa here?
See, I thought Kurt Russell was great as Santa, and I thought he brought the extra, so to speak, as the kids say these days. I thought the personality was big. You know, some of the lines fell flat, but some of the lines were clever, and so I give him high grades for his performance in the as Saint Nick for sure.
Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I always appreciate a cool Santa. Like, kind of reminded me of the Santa Claus in the movie called Rise of the Guardians. That wouldn't be on this list, but it does have a Santa Claus in it with
Remember that one?
dueling scimitars. And it just reminded me of that. I was like, it was a cool Santa.
Oh, they were definitely bringing out the cool with the leather trench coat, right? And, like, it wasn't just the white. It didn't look like the white fake fur. It looked like the real thing.
It was real trim.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, him being slimmer. And, like, how many times did they reference that about him? I'm not fat. Like,
Yeah.
he, you know.
Too many.
Right? I mean, I was just like, what is going on with that? He brought it up about the billboards make you look fatter, right? When they were in the restaurant. And then again, when they were in the prison, and the officer puts down I guess it was a can of Coke, but it had Santa Claus on it. And he's like, again, he points it out.
Yeah, this is 2018, and we do have less fat shaming now than we did back then, I will say.
You
Just an
think?
observation. I think so.
I don't know. It was just interesting how they kept bringing it up. And then at the end, when they're flying, they fly through the billboard and they're like, take that.
Through the belly.
Yeah, of Santa. I mean, it's like, okay. They're really
Can't be cool and fat, apparently, according to this movie.
I don't know. I just found it interesting that they took that take to it.
All right, so let's get into the characters and cast. We have Saint Nick, as we've just discussed, played by Kurt Russell. He was in Escape from New York, Silkwood, Backdraft, Tombstone, Miracle, and many, many others. Recently, fairly recently, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
He
And
was great in Miracle. Amazing movie.
It's in our sports countdown.
Okay,
You can
yeah.
come back for that if you want.
Yeah, he's terrific in that.
All right. A little cameo at the end by Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell's real-life wife since 1983, which is a big wow for Hollywood. She was a 1969 Academy Award winner for her role in Cactus Flower. It was the award for Best Supporting Actress. She was also in the variety show Laugh-In, early 70s, Foul Play, Private Benjamin, First Wives Club. We don't see her much more.
She was in Wildcats, Tim, and that's really, I think, the top of her mountain for me. I don't know if you've seen it.
Wildcats. She was the coach, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember that one.
Amazing movie.
All right, I'm sorry I overlooked that one.
Yeah.
And what did we think of her little cameo here?
So, I mean, she was fun. That was like 30 seconds and the movie's kind of over, but it was kind of a high five to all the older people that had sat through the movie with the younger people, right? To be able to give them a little taste of Goldie at the end, you know? So for all the olds to be able to go, oh, Goldie's on the screen. So it served its purpose.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Luke, did you know who that was?
No, she looked famous, but couldn't tell you.
Well, Mrs. Claus is pretty famous.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a perfect pick to be Mrs. Claus to Santa, who is Kurt. I mean, you know, they're a cute couple, right?
It's a good match, huh?
Right, good matchup.
Apparently time has proven that true.
Yeah.
Then we had Kate Pierce, played by Darby Camp. She was in the 2018 version of Benji, plus also Clifford the Big Red Dog. How do we feel she did in this film?
Yeah, she was excellent, I thought, for her age and what they were trying to accomplish. She was cute and played the role of the little smart girl, and I thought she did a good job of being endearing. You wanted her to be happy. You wanted Christmas to work out for her, so I give her props. Because I grade it on a scale, right? I mean, she's a younger girl, so her job is to be cute and adorable and make us cheer for her, root for her, and I was doing so I give her high grades.
How about you, Luke? What did you think?
I thought that she did great. They might have asked a lot of her. I mean, I hope she goes in great places. Seems like she's kind of like starting out by the time this movie comes out, but I think she'll really be something special in a couple of years.
All right. So you have hope for her, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree with Sean. I was hoping for the best for her, and she did a good job of portraying the magic that she really believed in, right? The Santa, the flying. She wasn't going to give up on it, and you could see that little sparkle in her eye that she totally believed.
All right. And then we have Teddy Pierce, her older brother, played by Judah Lewis. He was a finalist for the lead role of Spider-Man in 2017 in that Spider-Man Homecoming film where Tom Holland got the part. He also played young Johnny Utah in the 2015 remake of Point Break.
Really?
I did not find much more about him. What do we think? How did you do here?
I think he did a good job playing that role. Nothing on him. I think he did a good job, but I think the character had some problems that he played. First of all, a teenager who's going down the path of hanging out with other kids that are stealing cars and doing that kind of thing is not going to be as passive, I think, as he was when the mom said, nope, you don't get to go out tonight. I have to work, so you have to stay home and babysit your little sister. And he's like, no, but Mom, I was going with friends. And she's like, well, I'm sorry, you have to stay home. And then his last remark was, okay, whatever. Like, what? To me, that was so unrealistic. You get okay, whatever with like good kids, not kids that are like going out and stealing vehicles. And I mean, I just kind of found that a little, not believable. But then you did see the heart in the character when he was about to tell his sister, Kate, that there's no Santa Claus. And he goes, what do you say? Kate, there is no, and then there's a long pause. And instead everyone thinks he's going to say no Santa Claus, but instead he's like, no chance that he'll ever see this video. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, he's got a heart.
There's hope.
There's hope for this kid, but I don't know. I feel like they went to something so drastic as to you see him stealing a car, and I think Sean, you mentioned a little bit of this.
Yeah,
when
crazy
we were watching
writing.
it, right?
Yeah,
You're
crazy
agreeing,
writing.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, the writers did him no favors whatsoever. So, I mean, they start the movie off, he steals a car.
Right.
Okay. So that's a pretty strong leap right there. Like, that isn't your garden variety, like, crime. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
You're going, okay, this kid just did Grand Theft Auto, but you're supposed to view him as like, oh, he's just kind of lost or something like that. Then he's really a jerk to his sister. And I mean, that goes into a whole nother, did they give us enough background on the father-family relationship for us to really understand why this death has impacted so much. We're supposed to just kind of, it's like we're supposed to borrow from other movies to understand that the dad died, and then later we find out he died in a fire, but we're supposed to just like take from a different story that we understand that his angst is because his dad has died in a fire that we don't know about, and that's why he's acting out and being such a jerk, except he just starts the movie off being a jerk. And so from like the beginning, I don't really like the character. And so it's odd for me to start a movie in a situation where I don't even like the character that much. And I don't know that I ever warm up to him fully by the end of the movie personally. Nothing against the young man, but his character and his portrayal of the character, I thought were much less effective than the young girl for sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely more of a problem of direction. Like, I don't know if he wasn't reciprocating a lot of stuff, but I couldn't see that kid like doing the things that he does in the movie. It is really strong how they start off with him stealing a car. I feel like they could have gone to like maybe spray painting something.
Or ding dong ditching or something. Something that's not.
Maybe
right.
egg in a house or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Luke, you're that age. Do you run across any of that kind of stuff?
No.
Okay. Just a trick question there. All right. So we have their mother. Her name is Claire Pierce, and she's played by Kimberly Williams Paisley. And I remember her fondly from Father of the Bride, the 90s kind of family rom-com. Anyone else remember her?
No. Never seen the movie. I know my wife is a fan of the movie, but I've never checked it out.
All right, we'll get you there, buddy.
Yes, of course. I'm a fan of that movie, and I totally recognize her from Father of the Bride.
This may be the first time I've seen her since Father of the Bride, too.
Me too. I can't think of anything else I've seen her in.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have any other characters that stick out in the film? Anyone catch your attention?
I thought the gangsters that take the older brother, Teddy, I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of aspects of this movie where it's believable and people are acting in realistic like situation, like the cops and everything. But the way they acted, it kind of like took me out because this feels more like Disney Channel, or at least like the Wet Bandits from Home Alone. That's what they reminded me of.
Wait, are you talking about the scene in the park where he has the bag, the Santa bag, and they walk up? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I was like,
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. They would have guns or something. They just like kidnapped him.
Yeah, there are no weapons involved,
Yeah.
except a baseball bat here or there. But,
Right.
And a big old Inferno, which, by the way, they could have used that coal for their Inferno. Just saying.
Yeah, I think they're trying to keep it safe for the kids. All the more reason the Grand Theft Auto just seems, I guess it's obvious and everything like that, but it was just so awkward to start the movie off with the kid stealing a car with 3 of his buddies. I mean, it was just a very strange leap to start the movie with. So then you're feeling as an adult like, okay, this kid's like a true thug, like a true gangster. I mean, he's out there stealing automobiles, you know what I mean? But then he's supposed to be just disheartened with the loss of his father. So it was a really interesting take for sure.
Yeah, let's move on to the scenes. We've kind of talked about some of them already. What would you say is one of the funniest scenes you thought from the film?
What I thought was kind of funny, and this might sound a little bad, was when the little girl Kate fell off of the sleigh. Just because up until that point, it felt way more grounded, and the stakes weren't so serious. But then, almost instantly, it cuts to like she's about to die, and the juxtaposition, it took me out a lot, and I couldn't help but laugh, even though that was probably the craziest scene in the movie to me.
Well, one scene that I thought was funny was, or maybe I think it's funny because it's no way that it would be true, is when Kate first jumps into the sleigh when it's hovering, and then the brother Teddy is like, oh, no way, now he's got to go. And instead of jumping in and climbing up the pole like Kate did, he decides just to leap and hold on to the bottom edge of the sleigh. And she being the younger sister, just reaches her hand out and
Yeah.
pulls him up into the sleigh. I'm like, what? No way. I thought that was funny just because it was so unbelievable in my eyes. But I think one of my favorite scenes, we can move on to favorite if y'all want, is when they're in the diner. I think it's called Nick's Place or...
The kind of Irish pub / restaurant.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. When they walk in there and Kurt Russell starts naming off all the things that he knows about the people because he's Santa Claus. They walk up to the hostess, who's Wendy, I believe, and he's like, oh, hey, Wendy. And he starts talking about things in her life. And then when he's looking for money to get a cab or whatever, and he starts talking to all the people in the restaurant, and he starts calling them out for things. I thought that was awesome.
I like that part too. I thought that was clever, and it was a good plot device to use Santa's knowledge just to create humor.
Yeah, and it just put a real effect on, okay, yeah, that's right, he's Santa, because he knows all these things, and he can even speak the different languages to
Yeah.
some of the customers.
If there was any doubt that he was the real deal, it was gone at that point.
One of the things that I was thinking the whole time during that scene was that guy who I think was speaking Italian. And when he starts speaking Italian, he's like, I can speak English, moron. I was like, geez, I feel like that's such a weird reaction if someone starts speaking the language that he doesn't know that you know.
Right,
It's like my first reaction would be like, I speak English or whatever. It's like that's a weird thing to get offended about.
right. What about sappiest or sad moments in the film? I'll start with mine if y'all want. Mine was when Kate reads Teddy's letter when she's at Santa's house, or I guess that's Santa's house, at the North Pole. And it says, I just want to see my father again. To me, that was like, oh, I don't know, that just touched me. Like, because it would be hard, right?
Oh, that, and when Teddy says that his father would be disappointed in him.
Yeah,
That part
because you
kinda
realize he
gets you.
has some regrets, or,
Yeah.
and it's like, that's tough for anyone of any age. But for a child like that, it's got to be really hard.
Yeah, they pull on the heartstrings pretty good with the dead dad, which make him seem, you feel bad for the kids for sure, bad for the family.
Right.
You're cheering for him.
Yeah. What I felt was kind of sappy, like in a bad way, was when the elves are chanting True Believer. That kind of put me in a weird vibe. I was like, it's weird to like, I don't know. It almost feels like an indoctrination. It feels like I'm in a cult.
Wow. Sounds
I
like
know
a
what
hot
you,
take.
I know what you mean there. Yeah.
Well, what about cliche? Any real cliche moments? What about the red Charger? Just happens to be red like Santa's sleigh.
I thought it was interesting how he kind of lays into the bartender about being on parole, and you would think that Santa, who revolves around Christmas, may be into forgiveness. You know what I mean? Instead of such harsh judgment, like right off the bat. But okay, we're playing. We needed to do kind of that fresh. And it was interesting that he already has a job back behind the bar, but I thought that was kind of a harsh, interesting way to talk to the guy behind the bar from Santa. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting scene. And then the jailhouse scene has humor to it. It's interesting, some of the stereotypes that they bring in for that one. But yeah, there was definitely some interesting things in the... it was a little too obvious for me when he went to the whole your ex-wife wants you to call her bit. Like, but this is a movie for children for the most part, or it's a Christmas movie, so it's supposed to be obvious. So I understand it's supposed to be obvious, but it's just so obvious that for me as a viewer, I have a tough time enjoying that part of the film.
I agree with what you're saying about how harsh Santa spoke to the bartender. In all fairness, I think he was doing it, and I give him a pass, because he's saying it in front of Teddy. And
to
he's
try
like,
to teach him a lesson.
yeah, you're going down this path, and this could be your job one day or something.
Well,
like
that's
that.
what I mean. So
He's making it out to be something bad when it shouldn't
I
be.
don't look down on bartenders.
No, me either.
You know what I mean? So I'm sitting here watching the film like, okay, a professional bartender, like you're now dissing every bartender in the United States, in the world right now.
Very
and
true.
basically saying like, if you're behind the bar serving drinks in a nice restaurant, that you don't want to be like that guy someday. I just thought that was a little harsh, I
Right.
guess is what
You're
I
like,
mean.
why not?
Well, I just don't, I don't
And
like,
he's working
I
at
wouldn't
least.
dump on, a bartender or a waiter or a waitress or something like that. Those are perfectly fine professions for people, so
Absolutely.
I guess that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It reminded me of Home Alone when they were there, of the same church in that movie. And also when they're in the pub/restaurant and they're trying to get away from the bartender when they're running out, right? Wasn't the bartender coming after him after that remark? And I think it's Wendy, the hostess, throws the ice on the floor and the bartender slips, right? And that reminds me of Home Alone when they're trying to, when he's trying to get the burglars, to slow him down.
Oh, yeah.
I was so worried for her. That bartender's going to come back in. And unless she's leaving, trouble.
Unless it was an accident. He was moving pretty fast. He can't tell if it was an accident or not.
You might be right.
She's like, sorry, I'm so clumsy.
Another thing I noticed around that scene was when Teddy goes up to take the keys from the valet stand, the valet is distracted watching Stranger Things on a little iPad. So there's a Netflix, shout out to Netflix. Little crossover action there.
Yeah, I think with that, it kind of tells the times too. Like, okay, this when Stranger Things was really going hot. And also, I think it referenced fake news, kind of puts
Right.
the movie in a time period.
Yeah.
And also, I noticed with that is the whole video vibe, because when they're in the North Pole, there are so many videos of every kid making a video of what they want for Christmas. Now, there were all the letters, right?
Right.
But there were also videos, and I thought, I never thought about making a video when I'm asking Santa for what I want for Christmas. So I thought that was an interesting take.
They kind of modernizes the film.
Yes, I agree.
In Fred Claus, they can see the kids live, but it's not actually the kids' submitted videos.
Right.
That's a little creepy. I feel like they did it way better in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Fred Claus has its place.
That's true.
Number 50.
I thought they missed an opportunity to pull on the heartstrings with the videos. They could have had kids saying like, I just want you to make my cousin Sophie well, or something like that. Instead of every kid just asked for a toy that they wanted. But
You
I
would have
get it.
railed on that, Sean.
What?
If they would have done that, you'd be railing on it.
No, I think of it. I'm all for, hey, go for it. Go for the heartstrings right there.
It looked like they almost commissioned them from real people. That's what it kind of felt to me. I was like, oh, these
Authenticity?
these feel like real children.
They
that are
kind of
just-
did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably why they didn't say stuff like, oh, I hope, my grandma's well, It's more authentic because they're probably like, I want an iPad or something.
All right, best line, quotable lines. Anything come to mind here? I had a few, if you all don't.
Take it.
They tried. They were trying to get some here. I mean, of course, they had a Pierce always sees it through. That was on the knife, and that was repeated. Also, Santa to Teddy, believe in yourself like your sister, mother, and father do. I don't know if y'all remember that part.
Yeah,
did.
I do. I don't know if that's quotable, but
Yeah, or the ultimate quote was probably at the end. Santa was reluctant, but he did say, ho, 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 on his circle around. So that might be it.
I didn't catch that. That's good.
yeah, I agree with that one.
Okay, that it will be.
Well, this might be a quotable one, but I wanted to save it because it's also, in my mind, the sum of the moral of the story when he said, people need Christmas to remind themselves of how good they can be. I thought, okay, you know what? That kind of just sums it all up. What do you think?
They communicated that. Because if you think about the impact of them seeing Santa's arm in that old video, what it ultimately does, I mean, it's somewhat about the redemption of Teddy.
Right.
And that begins the chain of events that leads him there.
I think that's why there's so many criminal aspects of this movie. Like the guy at the bar, and he goes to jail, and he turns like all those peoples around, and they find their true musical talent. It's like, I don't know, that just ties back into the moral nicely.
True. We usually don't have this many criminals in one of these films.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Even the Home Alone movies only have two.
Right.
Two each.
That's true.
All right. Hot takes. Do we have any hot takes here?
I don't know how hot this is, but did not like the elves in this movie. They're like too freaky. They're like, I don't know, it feels like they're too minion-like with their fake language and just all that. The CGI, they could have just been little people.
So, Luke, you're a bit of a linguist. Which real language would you say this sounded the most like?
And I don't really know. Probably it sounded a little Scandinavian, maybe Norwegian.
Yeah. Not knowing those languages, I thought they were trying to go for that.
Mm-hmm.
That Swedish or...
Like Swedish Chef.
Yeah, Swedish, Finnish, something Scandinavian, like you mentioned.
Hunter Connor Mortis, Dira Dira Kono Kona Pacifican Vumasen Pen Beer. Hey Santa, I just spoke Elvish!
Krishna Gunaban! Think we did it!
I think I'm reaching,
Mm-hmm.
but y'all can tell me if I'm reaching too far for a hot take. But what about that Kate is just really a total little brat?
Wow.
And very selfish
Okay.
on her part first of all, she makes Teddy stay up all night waiting for Santa Claus. Then she runs out and he's like, wait up. And before he knows it, she's climbing up the pole to jump into the sleigh, should I say. And the whole time she's just kind of getting them in trouble.
Yeah, that's just little sister behavior. Like, that's nothing too out of the ordinary. And Teddy's not the
That's
best
a hot
person
take
either.
right there.
Right?
Yeah, look out.
Am
You're
I
throwing
reaching?
it down.
I think
I-
Luke's take is pretty hot. That's how all little sisters are.
Well, it's true. Like,
Because Luke has a little sister.
maybe.
All
But,
right.
yeah, staying up all night, that's a little sister thing.
All right. Am I reaching too far? Are you?
A little bit.
Okay. I probably am.
I think she's passionate about Christmas, so I hadn't thought about that, but I appreciate you bringing a take like that.
I think any other time of year she is a total brat, but since it's the holiday season,
She gets a pass.
everyone gets passes, I'm telling you.
I mean,
It's
she
just-
really just wants to be closer with her brother and have a family. She wants her family to be close again. So I give her that. Like she's trying to engage with Teddy and he's blowing her off all the time. But yeah.
I mean, her dad died, and Christmas that's what she's really passionate about. That's why she still has the 20-year-old video camera. And she's
Still
not just
taking
using
the videos.
Yeah, she's not just using her iPhone.
Right.
So that's just, she's clinging on to something, you know.
All right.
All right, I have a hot take. Santa says he's not officially Saint Nick. However, history books will tell us that Saint Nicholas was canonized in 1446.
Mm-hmm.
So he is officially Saint Nick.
Yeah, he said he wasn't officially a saint, right? He hadn't.
Yeah.
been- Yeah, he did say that in there.
I'm like, okay.
But you're like, wait a minute.
I thought
I had
that
to
was
look that up.
interesting. That kind of made me think. I was like, okay, maybe he's not like the historical figure Saint Nicholas. Maybe he just kind of like took his identity or something like that. I was like, that's kind of weird.
Because they did kind of give him a different identity, right?
Right.
With the suit and the not being fat, he was thinner.
That's a little bit of a conspiracy theory. We'll have to do that in an episode 2 of this, the Christmas Chronicles.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. So the parent guide is PG, and I think, in my opinion, that is totally appropriate. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's maybe scarier for parents than for kids, without a doubt. Like when the little girl's just walking around downtown Chicago by herself. As a parent, I'd go, I'm scared to death for this little girl. There's people I don't want her to bump into in the middle of the night by herself walking down the street and there's no one else around. But a little kid wouldn't be able to process what those type of situations might be. So I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I noticed there was like one line where Saint Nick is in the jail and he goes, "You used to be a great musician." And he says, "Yeah, well, lost a habit." I thought it was a interesting passive drug reference in the movie. Like, I was like, I wonder what that was about.
Yeah, it could
And
have been.
we know the women are prostitutes, but little kids don't know the
It goes
women are
over their heads,
prostitutes.
so
You
it's
know what I
okay.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's like they don't really pick up on that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
goes over their head.
I mean, his habit could have been like obsessive chess or online gaming or something.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
you know, we just don't know where that was going.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have taken a big leap with that near castration scene. That would bump it up 2 notches, way past PG-13. But we didn't go there, so PG.
It almost got gremlin-y there just for a second and then they backed off of it for
It was
sure.
close.
Yeah, maybe in Black Christmas. I don't know.
Maybe he was really just going for the leg
Yeah.
with a bunch of men.
Or yeah, he was gonna saw his foot off. I mean, it's still, that's kind of like Phoebe Kate, or what's the movie that I'm thinking of where she beats up his feet?
Misery.
Misery.
Kathy Bates.
Yes.
Kathy Bates, not Phoebe Cates.
All right, let's talk about the soundtrack. Not a lot of songs at all. I only saw 4 credited. Please Come Home for Christmas by the Eagles. I've never heard that one in a movie before. Here Comes Santa Claus by Elvis. Then we have that whole jailhouse scene with little Steven Van Zandt leading the way. He is a member of Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band. He also had a recurring role as Silvio on The Sopranos. Mm-hmm. And he produced the soundtrack for our number 47th ranked holiday film, Christmas with the Cranks. So little Stevie's in there, and Kurt Russell actually sang. But I will say I think that scene went on too long, because it was a double scene, and they could have cut each of those scenes in half. That's my take. Any other comments on the soundtrack or that scene?
I'll second that they cut to the one cop twice going, oh yeah, that's blah, 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 blah. So yeah, they did milk that one. I guess they figured they had everyone in one room, and they asked those guys.
There's a lot of setup involved.
Yeah, they figured we might as well get as much mileage out of this as we can, try to get this film to 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm. They thought they were funnier than they actually were. Kind of reminded me of the Ken song in Barbie. I was like, this goes on for so long. They think they're so funny and clever with this, but it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, I mean, they got them all together, so they felt like, okay, like Sean said, we're all here, let's keep going. But we didn't really just need to see much more of it.
I think Kurt Russell did a good job singing the song and portraying his hip, cool vibe as Santa in it.
Yeah.
It was almost a little bit reminded me of Elvis or...
Hip, cool vibe. Maybe for like 1964, but...
Oh, come on.
I mean,
apparently,
if it was like a hip vibe now, it would be like, I don't know, hip-hop or something like that.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Kurt Russell actually played Elvis in a movie at one time.
I mean, I could hear in his voice, it sounded
Yeah, that'd be a good fit.
like Elvis to me. Like, come on. Elvis is the king of rock and roll.
I guess.
Okay, I know. You don't want to get into that dispute. I know you want to dispute that, but he's known as that anyways. And he did, Kurt Russell brought that out, I thought.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on to rating this and why. So on a scale 1 to 5, what would you rate this, Sean, and why?
And Sean, it's a 2.9 again on Letterboxd. So, and we do decimals here.
Yeah, so my context makes this a challenge, and I know you're going to say, well, just figure that out, because, I mean, as far as would I ever want to watch this film again if I didn't have to, the answer would be no. I really wouldn't want to have to watch this again. Like if I ever was flicking around and this movie was on, I wouldn't hesitate to hurry and switch the channel to something else. Like it wouldn't be something that I'd ever desire to watch again. But I would grade it on a curve because it's a Christmas movie. It's really geared towards little kids. Like I'm not the target audience for this movie. So that being said, I will give it a 2.5 out of 5 for my rating.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a solid 2.9. I think it deserves its review in Letterboxd. But if I was a kid watching this, I probably would have skipped the first 20 minutes. So, I don't know. It's just okay.
All right. I would give it a 3 because I like the different take that the movie gives. It's a good, safe movie to watch with the family. And usually when I'm watching Christmas films, it's with the family. And I think could keep a lot of different ages interested, like little kids to teenagers. When we're looking for something new, we always host Christmas. So, and we have nieces and nephews here, and we have different ages. So I think it would be totally appropriate to have on. So I would watch it with them. Don't know that I would just put it on for myself.
Okay. And I'm usually the one who goes low, but today I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go 3.2, just showing us how Santa's bag works. Gives it a lift here, something I've always wondered about. And I think it'll age okay. I think in 10 years, it'll look a little dated, as they all will, but I think it'll still be watchable. So I'm going to give it a 3.2.
I think you're right, because I would have never guessed it was made in 2018. If you notice, there were no cell phones or smartphones. It felt like an older film, but it's not. But I almost think that's a compliment to it, that you don't even kind of, at least I didn't, I'm like, what time period are we even in here? I couldn't really figure that out. And they must have done that intentionally. So that was
Even
pretty
the cars,
clever.
the cars are pretty timeless.
Yeah.
That's probably on purpose.
Yeah, the
because
police
they've
cars
seen,
are super, like, you have no idea what
Generic.
era that's from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they've seen these films, and they know the more technology you put in them, or more consumer electronics, date films.
Dates.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was intentional. That was smart by them.
So, would you recommend it to anyone, Sean? Or are you just like, no, that was not watchable again?
Oh, for people that are out of Christmas movies, that have little kids that need to show, that want to show or watch a Christmas movie, if they're sitting around and it's like, oh, this Kurt Russell movie, if it's bad weather outside and you have no other Christmas movies to watch, like, put this
Absolutely
on.
nothing else to do.
Put this on. This might be entertaining for the kids. And I could see it, that 10 to 8 to 12, 8 to 14-year-old, 8 to 14-year-old, 14 might be a little old, but I could see that segment right there, like, enjoying this movie around the holidays for sure.
okay, Luke, and would you recommend it? And if so, to whom and why?
I would recommend it just to anyone who likes more kitschy things, or anyone in the age group past Disney Channel, but probably not ready for like a rated R movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend it to maybe mothers who are trying to get their wrapping done or something done, and you can put your kids in front of it and they would be entertained. I think they would be entertained by it. I take note with what Luke said earlier. If he was a younger kid putting this on, he probably wouldn't sit through the first part. I could see that. Maybe I would flip through, fast forward a little bit, the first part for younger children. I could see how they're not getting the impact of
To
what
where we
it
get
was.
to the action with the sleigh.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
The
that's
home
when it picked up.
videos is kind of like,
That's when it picked up.
yeah.
Okay, and I feel the same way you all do. I would recommend it to someone who currently has Netflix. I would definitely say this is not a reason to get Netflix.
Oh no.
No.
Sorry, I had to say that.
All right. So, Sean, what is your favorite holiday film?
Without a doubt, it's a Wonderful Life. Still watch it every year. Still get choked up at the end of it, especially now that I have a family. But I always did. Always watched it in Oklahoma City at my grandparents' house back in the day when it was in black and white, when they had black and white TVs. So for me, maybe there's a little bit of memory lane to it. But at the same time, the acting is just so good in that movie. And if you still watch it to this day, the script is tight. It's good writing. It just brings me back. And then I can still, I'll probably watch it again this year. I can still watch it again. And the story still rings true to me every time. This guy that stayed home instead of going off to chase riches, and everything that happens, and Potter and everything like that. It's just a magical movie for me.
Yeah.
Great. Stay tuned. We'll talk about it one day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, Luke, you've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
What is your second favorite holiday film?
Second favorite? That's hard.
And don't say The Christmas Chronicles.
Okay. I for sure won't.
You got a runner up?
Probably Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation. Okay. Very common choice here. Can't go wrong with that one. Talk about quotable.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah. Okay.
right.
Thank you for joining this discussion of our 40th ranked film, The Christmas Chronicles. Please like, follow, and comment on this podcast.
Yes, please share and spread the word about Holiday Film Countdown. Thank you, Sean and Luke, for joining us. And thanks to all of our listeners.
Next week, we're moving on to our 39th ranked holiday film, which will take us to Three Oaks, Michigan.